All agents are currently assisting other customers. Please stay on the line and your call will be answered in the order it was received.
So I guess it was just dumb luck? It's not like Spock needs help from me.
I can use the extra pair of hands, if Mr. Boimler is not afraid of losing one of them.
What the?
And once again, we have flagrant disregard for existing Star Trek canon, because we all know that there is absolutely no way that Mr. Spock...
Have I ever mentioned you play a very irritating game of chess, Mr. Spock?
Irritating? Ah, yes. One of your Earth emotions. Jim!
Well, sure, if you're going to include when he was under the influence of alien spores or so. Oh, none of those were... that was just him? Well, I still can't believe how they changed the shirt fabric. It is all wrong.
Live long and prosper, Mr. Boimler.
You also live, Andy.
Today's Nerd Fights was brought to you by Uncle Polly's Pest Control. If you have a pest that just won't shut up, let little Uncle Polly take care of it. He'll do it, no questions asked, if you know what I mean. And also by these guys, because I guess for some reason they want to support Salty, those sons of bitch.
Computer and program?
All right, welcome. And obviously Danny's not here yet. We're still waiting for him to get his computer put together. But the founder and president of Uncle Polly's Pest Control, Bird O'Prey 5, is with us. How you doing, Bird?
This isn't the Batleth Tournament of Forcus 3.
No, it is not. And I don't think you do.
I seem to have made a wrong turn at Albert.
So, how are you doing this fine day?
Honestly, not that great, but I'm here for
Yeah.
now.
And Danny, we're just holding down the
I just
fort
just
until-
texted him because I predicted that was coming.
Yeah.
Well, you're
Yeah,
right,
don't
Danny.
worry, man.
Until you get here.
Yeah, we're
You're
just
losing
chilling.
your spot. I'm taking over.
Uh-oh. It looks
Yeah.
like Bird's taking over your spot. You better hurry up.
There's a Kurogan invasion. By the way, I have to say, where you've used that hold music over top of the salty plus,
Yes.
that actually works way better. So if you could get that music without the background static and without her talking, that actually works better, I find, than the music that you had overlaid before. I don't know why, but it just kind of it's just like, well, here we go again.
Yeah. So Bird is a huge fan of Strange New Worlds, which is why we invited him on here, because he's just such a huge fanboy of the show. I think if there's one thing that makes when people think of fanboy of Strange New Worlds, they think of Bird O'Prey 5. So so Bird, if you're gonna take a hot take of this show, what would it be?
This was not offensively bad, but it was a poorly written, mediocre episode at best.
Well, so you loved it, is what you're saying.
I don't hate it.
Was it better than paint drying? We'll use Michael's middle of the road requirement.
I don't subscribe to the paint drying as a 5.
You either like it or you don't like it, and it sits somewhere in there, right?
Well, Bird scores are always
watch
like Bird always scores at either like a 2 or an 8. There's like
well, this might legit be a 3.5 or a 4.
3.5 or 4. Wow.
Let's say a 4.
Oh, you're being extra
I'll be
generous.
generous.
Okay. It's so kind of you, Bird. Just I guess giving it a little extra score for Uncle Paulie's sake. Just to get him a little bit of extra promotion. So what elevated this episode for you then, Bird? What would you say brought it to the
fact that
non-offensive?
there wasn't anything offensively wrong. It didn't destroy previous count, although in hindsight it kind of does ruin the Guardian of Forever a bit. It doesn't destroy anything. It doesn't make me hate the writer or the show, the characters, the episode.
So you think it ruins the Guardian of Forever because it's an example of another time portal?
Sorry, Salty. I told you I had I needed 10 minutes.
Oh,
In
yeah,
10
yeah.
minutes.
You need a
10
break real
minutes.
quick?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be around.
Okay. Bird will be back in a few minutes. In the meantime, let's say hi to the people in the chat here. We had 47 Yorktown was first. I know Miss Moneypenny is taken off for church. Patrick is here. Don, the Power Ranger, is here. Danny is apparently in the chat, probably on his phone. But Danny, don't pay attention to us. Go work on getting your computer up and running. And then let's see, Bradley is here. Let's see, Stan Lee is here. Let's see, And let's see. And Patrick says, let us know that Danny is setting up his PC. Maybe Danny used that as an excuse. Yeah, he's afraid. No, Dan, I think we all for once agree that this was a fun episode. So that's one of the reasons we wanted to have Bird on here. So we have somebody that's going to be all grumpy and fighty about it. Let's see. Patrick says, if you and Jason want, you can entertain us with a pre-show. Well, we're kind of doing that now.
This is the sort of pre-show.
Yeah, this is the pre-show for you. And then Ariel is also wanting a pre-show, which we've started the pre-show for you.
Like the after party.
Yeah. Want a pre-show, not a peep show. Well, Danny gives peep shows. For enough money, he will do the truffle shuffle. And let's see. What else we got? Does anyone else find the salty logo suggestive? What is suggestive about it's a salt shaker with salt spilling out?
Yeah, if it was white substance and it wasn't clear that it was a salt shaker, then maybe. But there's no razor blades or credit cards sitting on the table either.
Yeah.
Someone's letting their imagination get away from them.
I think so.
Or they're under the influence of a certain Miss Moneypenny.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what it is. Somebody's been purchasing their salt from Miss Moneypenny. Alex says, well, I decided to come by. Well, we're glad that you are here. Let's see. Jeremy likes the trailer. I really like the way that one came out. The trick is finding the right music, and I think that one fit that episode. Let's see. Skipping, looking for stuff either addressed to us or just I honestly thought the Strange Dex crossover was fun to watch as any other crossover episode of any franchise, including my number one Power Rangers Wild Force episode, Forever Red. Well, I've never heard of the Power Rangers Wild Force episode Forever Red, but I will assume that is meant as a compliment. And Stan Lee's not happy that they're doing a gimmick episode, and they got the musical episode coming up. I gotta say, it's gonna take a minor miracle for me to enjoy the musical episode.
Yeah, if they're not actually swinging for the fences, I
don't know how they're gonna make that episode enjoyable for me. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's gonna be a thing.
Yeah. Let's see. Arrow says, hello, Salty, Jason, and Prey. And first I was like, Prey? Huh? Oh, Bird. Got it.
Bird O.
Yeah, as in Bird O. Yeah, his last name being Prey. I guess you could have said 5.
That would have been extremely confusing at first. Just a random number.
Some people only have 7 hours till the next working day starts, so hurry up to the Dork Knight. Yes, indeed, we're waiting on him.
Those people on the other side of the Atlantic.
Yes. It's okay, Danny. Moving to a new place takes a lot out of a person. No, don't give him any excuses. He'll start slowing down. Positive Candor thinks Bird of Prey 5 makes the show. That's a lot of zeros. Percent better, but if that's filtered through the Canadian filter, that's only about 18%.
Yeah, the exchange rate brings it down.
Yeah.
Not tonight, Positive Candor, unfortunately. I'm far from 100%. I'm at 2%.
So, well, and you know what they say, 2% of Bird is like 2% of Bird.
For some funny random
Yes.
reference off of the, the great penny booger sugar fun that we've been having for the last few weeks. So I caught wind in the random goofy news that because authorities down around Florida have been dumping cocaine seizures directly into the water, sharks have been eating the cocaine.
So we have cocaine bears in Tennessee and cocaine sharks in Florida.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just great. That's just great. That's what we need.
Just when you thought Sharknado was a little out of touch,
we're going to have cocaine Sharknado.
Yeah.
That's just, oh boy.
Yeah, I had a bit of a chuckle at that.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like there's no snoot booping with that. There's no pushing that shark's nose out of your way. That thing would be just jacked to the walls.
So, Bird, we were just talking about how you thought that this ruined Guardian of Forever.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I still need like 2 more minutes.
Oh, okay. Still needs 2 more minutes. We'll see. We'll see. Let's see. And Danny, stop posting in the chat and just focus on your computer. I know you want to talk to people in the chat, like your girlfriend there, but you know what? You can talk to her once you got your computer up and running. So stop. 2 gimmicks the second season. Well, more. Well, yeah. So,
well, really, you could say 3, and this was the one we're talking about today is the only one I was properly looking forward to. And
what's the third? I mean, I know we have the musical.
Well, there was that one that you gave the FU out of 10.
Oh, the turn Spock human.
Yeah.
Body
and then there's this, and then there's the musical.
Yeah. Let's see. Great concept, but disappointing, says Stanley. The girls taking the piss was just dumb. Not sure if I understand that reference.
When they were giving Boimler a hard time.
Okay.
Which is funny that the Canadian is using the British term.
Yeah. But why was that dumb? Wouldn't you mess with somebody?
I thought it was fine.
And that seemed right in character with Ortega and Chaplin.
Yeah, well, yeah, that was the thing. Like, she's always jocular, so.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. In season 1, one of the first things we see Ortegas do is do something very similar to that to Uhura, getting her to dress in her dress uniform for a casual dinner. So I guess we're supposed to feel bad for Chapel finding out her and Spock don't stay together. Well, if you care about their relationship, I suppose. Boimler's wig was a bit distracting. It didn't bother me. Just looked like Boimler to me. Although he does look older, in real life than Boimler.
Well, yeah, because he's not young.
Yeah.
He's not 25.
I'm not sure why, but Michael, you look like you're not exhausted like you usually do. Well, there's actually a reason for that, because I didn't get up at 3 o'clock in the morning like I usually do on Wednesdays and Thursdays. So, yeah. I actually forgot I didn't watch Secret Invasion today. I need to do that.
Is it the finale today?
I think it's either the finale or the episode before the finale. I can't remember which. But yeah, I need to watch it. I completely forgot because I was so excited about tonight's live stream, and then Danny messing up tonight's live stream. Let's see.
Yeah, out of curiosity, how
let's see.
is,
Guardian Forever diminished thanks to this episode, and of course the Discovery episode with Carl. I would say the Discovery episode with Carl does far more damage to the Guardian of Forever than this. I mean, the fact that there are other time portals doesn't diminish the Guardian of Forever. And in fact, the Guardian of Forever is a far more powerful time portal than the one that they find here, because this one is not a time-space portal that can take you anywhere to any history from any planet. This just takes you back in time to the same location.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, the easy answer too is that pretty much everything Discovery breaks Star Trek.
Yeah.
Something or other.
So to be fair, yeah.
Yeah. The only good thing that we got out of Discovery is what we're watching now.
Yeah. And the Tokyo Trekker trying to
headcanon dialed up to 11.
Yeah. Guardian is intact. This episode isn't canon. It joins Voyager flashback, Star Trek V, Enterprise uses the Voyages, the entirety of TAS and LDS as filmed and aired, but entirely fanfic. I'm sorry, Tokyo Trekker. I love you, but you are wrong. You know, a denial is not just a river in Egypt. Guardian Forever diminished thanks to the episode and, of course, the discovery of Carl. With Carl. Well, okay, that's just a repeat of what you said before. I forget that the Guardians speak in TOS. Yes. It just didn't have a human calling itself Carl.
Since before your sun burned bright, I've awaited a question.
Yes.
And people wonder why I won't watch season 3 of Discovery.
Oh, you'll watch it if the strike goes long enough.
We have lots of other content, man. I keep telling you.
Oh, I'll make you watch it sooner or later.
We got Babylon. We got Stargate.
And I did like the animated Strange New Worlds intro. I thought that was kind of cool.
You know what I hated was when they started the intro.
I was
wasn't
close to hitting the skip button.
I'm so ready for it every time.
Yeah.
I hit it before I even saw that it was a cartoon. So when Danny mentioned to me that the whole intro was a cartoon, and then I watched Nitpicking Nerd, and he showed some stills from it. I was like, I got to go back. I got to watch. Oh, super chat, eh?
Thank you so much, Arabic, with $2 super chat saying Coral.
Carl.
I believe it's pronounced Choral.
Oh, is that
French term.
Like how you like to mispronounce Mario?
It's a French term for chicken fingers.
Mm-hmm. And how do you pronounce Mario?
Mario.
Yeah, I was pretty sure it's a Walking Dead reference. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a reference to the whole. What's this? I can't even remember his name anymore.
Is that the name of the baseball bat or something?
No, it was the lead character's son.
And yes,
He was
I did
constantly
love
looking for him.
the smiling koala. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
The koala makes an appearance.
Yeah. But yeah, I did love the Rick. Yeah, I couldn't remember his name. Rick is constantly going on looking for Carl, and the way the actor says Carl when he's trying to do an accent on top of the fact that the actor is British, it just comes out funny.
And sorry, Stan, I don't watch Walking Dead, obviously, so I didn't know it was Seal.
Yeah.
All right, so you back now, Bird?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, Bird was busy depositing his thoughts on the episode. So what? So when you watch this episode, do you what you know? And I know that some people are going to probably be fighting for time immemorial about does this now canonize the lower decks?
Well, I mean, really not an issue for me, since I don't consider Strange New Worlds canon. So
I knew where this is going.
I mean, how can it be? You can't. There's no way. There is no way to canonize.
Do you deny the Holocaust too, Bird? I mean,
do you deny
Whoa,
that?
man. Reverse
that
Godwin's
Captain
law.
Kirk, that Captain Kirk. Nobody brings up to Captain Kirk that Khan's, grandniece or whatever was literally the head of security on the Enterprise, and like half the crew met him or her, were friends with her when Khan, happens to be found randomly in space.
we
There's
already
no.
know we're in a different timeline from the original.
So then it's not canon.
Why is it
Then
not
you agree.
canon? It's just a different timeline.
Whatever you want to call it, it's not. It is not
It is
the TOS.
canon. It's part of Trek canon.
No, I disagree, but whatever.
And
If you want to call it a timeline, that's fine.
And when you say Mariner knows way too much out of character knowledge, I disagree. She knows history. Everything she says is historical information.
Yeah, Patrick. Canon, yes. Prime timeline, no.
Right. You can argue whether or not it's, it's not in the same timeline as what we call the original series, but it's clearly canon. It's part of Trek canon. All canon means is the authorized works that whoever owns the authority to say this is canon, which in this case is Paramount.
I have the authority, and I don't consider it canon.
Well, you don't have that authority. Sorry.
No, I think I do.
Well, you're not, unless your name is Paramount Global, you don't.
I can change my name.
Well, you go right ahead. But the problem is that people want to argue over this. It's pointless to argue because it's just a fact. It is canon. And then now you can argue as far as continuity is concerned, whether or not you think that it fits within continuity, which that's where you would have to argue it's a different timeline, because it has to be, because the continuity doesn't work in some cases.
Oh, and Tokyo, the actual text of, and this is one of these, and it drives, it's when you, this is the details fun. It does not say that he took the Enterprise from Pike because Pike was promoted to fleet captain.
Right.
In Menagerie, it simply states that he met him when he was promoted, and then he references the fact that he took over the Enterprise from Captain Pike.
Right.
Not that he took it over because of that.
Those are two different things.
And without a clarifying statement in a further episode, all we have is two events. We do not know for sure if they are absolutely connected.
Right.
So.
And quite frankly, I think that, and this is something that I think we get our panties in a wad over some of these minutia details that aren't worth getting in a wad over. The simple fact is that if you look at the original series, TNG, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, all of what we consider classic Trek, they've screwed up plenty of continuity just as bad as the detail of that line from, if you want to argue that Kirk was supposed to have met Pike on the day that he made fleet captain and taken over the Enterprise on that day. If you want to, well, what about the decades-long war that resulted in first contact from the Klingons? Nobody says anything about that. Well, what about the fact that the first encounter with cloaking devices was supposedly the Romulan neutral zone?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely the case that when you really start going back and looking at stuff, that as much as we want to be particular about using one show to beat on another, there's more than enough inconsistency across any and all of the seasons or series that unfortunately it doesn't really hold up when you really go at it.
And not everything in every show is canon. Like in The Next Generation, there was definitely some season 1 stuff where the Klingons were supposed to be part of the Federation. And then they realized quickly, no, that's stupid.
In other words, there were writing errors. It's not that it's not canon, it's that there are errors.
Yeah.
It's an error, and it's not canon. Even though it's
canon.
broadcast.
It's an error in the canon. You can't just say the episode doesn't exist just because there's a mistake in it, because if you're going to do that, you're going to have to eliminate half the episodes of all of Trek.
That's fine with me.
Yeah, you'd have to do like a very interesting and very careful supercut of all things Trek to actually try to weed it down to the point where all the contradictions are removed. But then the problem is you have some episodes that only contain a certain kind of contradiction that needs to be removed, but the rest of the episode actually does add correctly. So yeah, it's this is what happens when you've got, whatever it is, 600 episodes of Star Trek.
And what about fan favorite episodes that actually have continuity issues? Like when you look at Balance of Terror, many people consider that one of the best episodes in all of Trek, including myself. However, there's no such thing as phasers set to proximity blast. However, except for in that episode. You also don't have to worry about being quiet in order to be detected by the enemy ships, except for in that episode. It's also the only episode where there's separate people that press a button to fire the phasers other than who's on the bridge. So there are plenty of things you could argue, well, I guess that episode's just not canon, right? So
there's sometimes multiple people needed to fire torpedoes.
Only when the plot calls for it.
Exactly.
And so you're going to have to eliminate all those episodes. And by the way, how about another fan favorite, Relics? There's another one that violates continuity because you can't beam through the shields except for when you can. And there's,
Yeah, and also, courtesy of the movie Generations, Scotty
shouldn't roboting, by the way, Jason. You must have clicked on something.
That I have off screen. Yeah, according to the timeline, you've got a contradiction because Scotty thinks Kirk is still around.
Right.
Kirk died in the Nexus. Well, he disappeared in the rescue attempt.
And Scotty was
on that ship at the time, yeah. So yeah, there's all kinds of unfortunate goofs all over the place.
Right. So
Trek reviewer is saying, SR, what's he saying? Whole problem with TNG. Acknowledge the look and events of TOS and the movies, Strange New Worlds and Discovery, claim they are in the same universe while changing it all at the same time. And this SR actually goes right back to what several of us have been saying for over a year now, which is they need to just pull the trigger and call it a reboot.
But at least be done with it. At least they've gone as far as to establish it is in a different timeline now. And so we do know that thanks to Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow.
The Toronto timeline.
Yes, the Toronto timeline is a real thing. They are definitely in a
I
different time.
call trademark on that.
Yeah. And that's another one. That's another good one, Arabic. Can you fire phasers through shields? Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Plot contrivances are fun.
Yes. So, you know. So and you see, and I love, so Tokyo comes up with a little bit of headcanon. Generations doesn't negotiate the relics because Scotty's pattern degraded. That's why he doesn't remember. Well, it doesn't. That doesn't fix the problem that they beamed him through the shields. So, you know, that you could,
and if memories,
as Scotty himself likes to say, you cannot change the laws of physics.
Yeah.
So sorry, but that's a big loss right there.
Yeah. So there's a craze. I never bothered to do the totaling on this. So there's 730 episodes of pre-2009 Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
Plus what we've gotten so far, which I know the seasons are much shorter, but there's several seasons of a few different shows now between cartoons and live action. So yeah, I mean, we're way off the reservation. It'd be like trying to get into an absolute consistency fight with people on Doctor Who, which sits at around 800 episodes, which I didn't realize Star Trek was as close to surpassing Doctor Who as it was.
I love these people coming up with stuff. No, the shield did not fail by being crushed by the doors. The shield was holding the doors open.
Yeah.
So sorry, no.
Which shows that those were definitely deflectors and not energy absorbing. At least the ones that were touching the doors.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that we have to, say, oh, no, it's not canon. I'm just saying that, we can acknowledge there are mistakes in the writing.
Yeah, the real issue that I've come to is that if the body of an entire season or an entire series is irredeemable, then you kind of end up for yourself, you throw that season or series away.
Right.
But it's unfortunately still there because, kind of like I think I was saying at the start of this season, The Strange New Worlds, there's a few times in a few of the episodes where they keep making these very tiny callbacks to things from Discovery. So it's kind of one of those, I hate that show, but I also have to remember that we wouldn't have the first season of Strange New Worlds if it wasn't for Discovery.
Right.
Probably.
Well, and something to remember is that, like, here's what we have a tendency to do is if we don't like the show, whatever the show may be, whether it be, one of the classic shows, like, for example, I'm not a big fan of Voyager from the Berman era. But whether it's one of those shows or whether it's, Discovery, which I don't know too many people that are big fans of Discovery, or Strange New Worlds or whatever. And so if it's a show you genuinely do not like, then what you do is you tend to see any type of inconsistency and you magnify it to say, you see, this is a reason the show is horrible. And then at the same time, an equally bad inconsistency on a show you love, you can hand wave off and come up with 100 reasons why it's okay, just like you guys did with the Genolan Shields. You guys can come and Scotty's faulty memory. You guys can come up with all sorts of, and by the way, everything you guys came up with, sure, those maybe that's the reason, but that's all pure headcanon. There's nothing on screen to indicate the Jenolan shields failed before the torpedoes hit. And so, and before they beamed them off. Nothing. There's nothing to indicate that the minimal pattern degradation on Scotty caused brain damage and memory loss. And no, I am not confirming First Contact was a great movie. It's still crap. So, but what we tend to do is we say,
oh, I muted myself. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was going to say, we were talking about this, and I was going to say, for people who don't know, the CinemaSins folks very recently just did a run through on First Contact, and it's a very not good movie, but I really like the movie. And interestingly enough, it's exactly why this episode was good to a great extent, as far as I'm concerned, and that is Jonathan Frakes.
Right.
Jonathan Frakes is an excellent director. He can polish a turd. So yeah, it's like it's one of those. Yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, is it a good movie? Is it a fun movie? I love Battleship. Battleship's a terrible movie.
Oh, Battleship is horrible.
I love that movie.
That's a Kuroga level bad movie.
Oh, that's just
yeah.
I just love that movie because it's just so terrible. And Rihanna's in it, so Jupiter Ascending. Oh man. Oh, Stan Lee.
Stanley, that's
we don't admit these things in public company.
yeah. You should never admit that you like Jupiter Ascending.
Oh, my wife and I started watching that, and then all we could do was continue to watch it because it felt like we were witnesses to a tragic car accident.
Right.
Because we just had to see what in the world was happening, and by the end of it, we just kind of looked at each other. What did we just watch?
So yeah, Tentacle, you mentioned, first of all, I think that the shield thing, like I said, you just, it's one of your favorite episodes. You want to come up with a reason why the shield thing worked. There's nothing to indicate the shields failed before they beamed them over. However, you're also quite correct that they had an entire colony of genetically engineered super babies that they made, despite the so-called ban on genetic engineering.
Yeah, on the Major Grin channel, he has a big rundown on that.
Yeah. And stuff like that. There's lots of stuff like that. Now, obviously, it's because they had that episode before they came up with the idea that genetic engineering was banned.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, and
Eddie Redmayne whispering everything. Oh, you mean like he does in all the movies he plays in, unfortunately.
So that's the problem with writing errors, and it's not necessarily bad writing as much as just errors. I don't think that it's intentional, but at the same time, it happens, and so you do have it's just like, hey, the rape gangs on Tasha Yar's planet. If you stop and think about that, how did that happen?
Yeah. Well, some of the more interesting videos that Laura has put out talks about the sheer hypocrisy of Starfleet and the Federation as it respects advanced civilizations where, horrible things go on. Like, I think even you've pointed out the fact that functionally within the Federation, there's no law against slavery.
Right. And so, well, we see that if you look at, because, based on the fact that Pike himself was considering becoming a slave trader.
Yeah. Yeah.
which is interesting.
Well, there's a interesting question.
So where would I rank La'an among security tactical officers? There aren't that many to go by. I mean, there's her, there's Yar, there's Worf. I guess you could say Odo.
Oh, well, there's one you're missing.
And Tuvok.
Tuvok, yeah. And no, wait a minute. Skippy from Enterprise. That's terrible. I'm saying it that way. But
Skippy? You mean Malcolm Reed?
Yeah.
So I would probably put her ahead of Yar and Reed. But not Worf or Odo. And probably like neck and neck with Tuvok.
Yeah, I could agree to that. I could definitely agree to that.
And I get it. They see, but this is the problem with the bad writing, Tentacle. Why is Yar's planet not a part of the Federation when it's a human colony established by the Federation?
Yeah, it just magically isn't part of it anymore.
Right.
And
I get it. It's called convenience, you know.
Yeah, because if we actually look at, and within within TNG, if we go and look at some of the episodes when they had to go and deal with the colonies along the Cardassian border.
Yeah.
They were
forcibly relocating human colonies because they were part of the Federation.
Yeah. So.
And why would they break away? So that they can have rape gangs? That doesn't even make sense. I mean, the only reason they did it is so that she could have her tragic story. Honestly.
And no, I just have to. My fast answer to that is just no, Chief. The thing we got to remember with any of the cast that are part of these shows, they're actors first. They may enjoy the work they do. They may enjoy the people they work with, but that doesn't make them extremely well read up on everything. Terry Matalas considered himself basically a super fan, yet he didn't know that the bugs from the first season episode of TNG didn't actually kill their hosts. And there's a wonderful video that even Major Grin turned into yet another clip of Terry telling Matthew Kadish that, oh yeah, well remember they killed their hosts, so that's why we didn't use that.
Right.
Except no, that's not what happened. So this is just one of those things where you get into a situation, like we keep saying that, and as much as there's lots of Star Trek that I'm not a giant fan of, if not straight up dislike, like Discovery, there's when you don't have absolute concrete long-term built out plans on how you're going to develop your show, this is what happens. It's just the reality of it. That's why I mentioned Doctor Who earlier. There's tons of contradictions in Doctor Who, I'm sure, because I mean that's had like 882 episodes or something like that over the course of 60 years. There's no way there aren't issues.
Oh yeah, so, Doctor Who has contradicted itself 1,000 times over, but
yeah.
And Star Trek has as well. It's just that, what we do is if it's an episode we like, we hand wave it off. If it's an episode we don't like, we either say it's not canon or, it's a part of a show that we say is not canon if it's a part of a show we don't like. And, sorry, we don't get to determine what's canon. That's just the bottom line. We would like to, but we don't. It just doesn't work that way. So we've been waiting for Danny for over an hour. What do you think? Do you think we should start getting into the review proper?
Let's well, if he's still listening, but I'm gonna send him a text message from behind here.
Yeah, I tried texting him a few minutes ago. He didn't answer me, but can Anson Mount sing? I guess we'll find out next week.
I think he can. Didn't Didn't a couple of them do a little bit of like singy-songy stuff in that Fantasy Nebula episode in season 1? Wasn't there a little bit of?
But yeah.
Now, see, and this is what's funny is that's one of the least, not the least, but it's one of the least liked episodes from season 1. But I actually enjoyed it. So, as much as I'm going to be just holding my nose hardcore tomorrow, if it turns out to be an okay
tomorrow's
episode,
not the musical episode.
Or no, sorry, the musical episode next week. Yeah. Then I'll admit to it if it's not complete trash. But man, I don't know.
Yeah, tomorrow is about a Klingon defector, apparently.
Well, that'll be hopefully interesting.
Which I'm sure Bird will hate, because Bird hates anytime they have Klingons on because he can't remember anything about Klingons.
Under the cloak of war, Captain Pike and his crew welcome a Klingon defector aboard the Enterprise. But his presence triggers the revelation of some shocking secrets. Yes. Dum dum dum. Interesting.
And SR, I'm sorry, you know what? See, it's stuff like that I don't like, because there a million shows have done musical episodes, not just Buffy. So, say what you want, it's not just Buffy. So, maybe it'll be good, maybe it'll suck, but it's not unique to Buffy the Vampire Slayer or any other one show to do a musical episode. And hopefully it'll be good.
Who is the actual writer?
Huh?
I'm just checking the writing credits on that.
Same person who wrote the penultimate episode of season 1, which was the one with the Gorn on the abandoned starship, which was actually an interesting one.
Jenny Lamette is the lead, and she did. Oh, she's got executive producer credits. Hold on, I want writing. Previous. She's got story creator on basically all of season 1. And who's the next two? Dana Horgan and Bill Wolkoff.
And SVS Guru with a €5 super chat, thank you, says Anson Mount used a tuning fork in Multiverse of Madness. It was mine.
Yes,
that
yes,
is
it
true.
Was.
That is very, very true.
Yeah. Now, if we want to complain about wasted things and bad writing,
yeah, Anson Mount as Black Bolt.
That was such a waste.
Well, but the Inhumans were just, that show just died on the vine. So.
Oh, it cratered immediately. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ad Astra, and then let's see, Bill Wolkoff, writer.
You awake there, Bird? See if he's actually there.
So, interestingly enough, the writers involved with this musical episode are attached to reasonable to definitely good episodes of Strange New World. So,
yeah,
we'll have to see.
Which is a weird thing, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So I think Bird fell asleep. Either that or he's just, he's doing something.
I apologize. I can't talk.
No, that's all right, man.
Yeah, it's all good. So I figure we'll talk about the episode a little bit, and hopefully Danny gets here before we get to the end of it.
Yeah, he hasn't seen my text message, so he must be deep in fight with.
Yeah, or he fell asleep.
The computer wrestled him to the ground like it's Goku, his cat, and now he's He's trapped. No, he's trapped like Boimler under the console.
Chief asks, I have another question, guys. You think we'll see another Trek movie? I hope not.
We really better not.
Yeah.
Movies, as far as I'm concerned, were done because they weren't entirely sure what was going on with shows. Then there was some continued success with movies once shows were back on the air. I think Star Trek belongs on the small screen as much as possible.
I would rather see them put the effort into longer seasons than
yes. Yeah, I agree.
And yes, Danny answered me finally. He says, if I can't get it going within 20 more minutes, I'll join from my phone.
Okay.
All right, so our episode begins as a Lower Decks episode. Which
yeah, that, by the way, completely caught me off guard, but at the same time actually was them leaning into the crossover.
Yes. And so it starts out as a very typical Lower Decks episode where they're all hanging out and getting ready for their latest mission to survey this portal that was discovered by the Enterprise. And Tindy argues that it was actually discovered by Orion scientists. And
was that up here in the bunks or down on the planet? I can't remember.
Yeah, and he was saying, "Oh, come on, weren't they all pirates back then?" And she was saying, "Oh, that's offensive."
Yeah.
And Tindy and Rutherford are all excited because they're going to scan radiation and.
Yeah, for me it was funny because they've clearly not changed those two characters because I've only watched bits and pieces of season 1 and 2, and they've definitely been consistent with those two characters.
And I apologize. Let me bring up. Yes, Nermal the cat left a $1 tip. Thank you so much. Nermal says, "Is Mississippi gave Missouri a New Jersey to wear at the fair? What would Delaware, Alaska?" Get it?
Yep.
Normal. Got to work on that. Thank you, Normal. And I apologize for missing that. I didn't have the little tip machine up there. There. All right. And the Cerritos class or whatever isn't a flagship. No, the Cerritos is a California class, which those ships are definitely not the flagship.
I just kind of realized this.
Mm-hmm.
The absolute trashiness of the California class, is that some kind of slight at the state of California?
I think it is, yes.
So, and Aravik, the episode was released early because of Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And then unexpectedly, we're getting another episode tomorrow. So
yes. So then they beam down to the planet to check out the portal that Bird hates so much. Because he says it ruins the Guardian of Forever, but I don't think it does. Because this is just a simple time portal as opposed to the Guardian, which can take you anywhere.
I got a kick out of the fact that it looked like a cross between a Stargate and the galaxy that was hung on the cat's neck in MIB. Because there's got to be influence from one of them, if not both.
Yeah, I was thinking that. It does look a lot like the Stargate to me. Like he just took two Stargates and glued them together.
Yeah.
And so they figure, okay, well, let me get a picture in front of it, which is just that's just them being stupid. And so when he activates the flash on his camera, somehow that turns the portal on, which sucks him through. And all of a sudden we get a live action version of the portal, and he comes through and finds
and I do love that Laon's got the old phaser just ready to go.
Yeah. Well, I like that Boy was like, you guys look really realistic.
Yeah.
And of course, Una calls up, says they may have a problem. And then, unlike normal, I'm not going to skip the credits because the credits were mind-blowing in this particular one because they did a really good job of recreating the credits with a cel-shaded animated style.
Yeah.
And I think the Enterprise, the Strange New Worlds Enterprise looks great as an animated show.
Oh, does it ever? Yes. I was I you know what I immediately thought by the end of the opening credits done like this?
wanted an animated series.
I want a new animated Star Trek series, but done with this style.
Absolutely. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, wow, give me a Strange New Worlds animated series, please. And there's the koala. Do you know about the koala, don't you?
Just mildly, because I actually got to get all the way through Lower Decks, but I'm aware that the koala is basically God.
Yes. So yes, we actually get a glimpse of the koala.
Yeah. I love this. Yeah. That's so true, Joseph.
That's true. Yeah, go figure. So then we get the not animated version, or CG version of the Enterprise. And Boimler is waking up and like, oh crap, what's going on? And so at first he thinks he's on the holodeck. And I do like Pike's reaction, like, yeah, we know you're from the future.
Yeah.
We kind of figured that out. And SVS Guru with another €5. Thank you. Says the animated Enterprise looks so much better than the live action one, which looks like a hull is made from scrap metal. I don't think scrap metal, but I think the problem is that they made it a little too dark. And it's the funny thing is it's technically more realistic that way, but I think that the lighter gray looks better. Like it makes it feel more like TOS, to be honest.
Well, even if you have the gray of TNG ships, it would be better than how they've got the coloration set right now.
And yeah, technically speaking, like I said, the darker metal is more realistic because you're in a dark environment in space.
Yeah, I mean, we always, that's one of the other things we always have to remember is so much of what we see is extremely overlit just because it's there for our benefit, because the ships, when the shows are done well, the ships are a character within the show, so you need to see them.
Right.
Unlike where in Battlestar, if it's dark, there's dark sides to the ship, or in The Expanse, if they're hiding behind a moon, you don't see anything.
Right. Well, in The Expanse, you hardly ever see the ships.
Yeah, only when it gets really crazy do they actually start letting you see it, because it's pew pew time. So,
yes.
But yeah, Star Trek, the ships are definitely supposed to be highlighted a little bit more than what they've been doing in
Gotta love
Akiva.
Complaining about Boimler looking too old. It's played by the same guy. What do you want?
It's
Yeah. And by the way, I agree with him 100%. The flipping was is the best part of the old communicators. I love that part.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on. So when Una shows up, Boimler completely freaks out, and Una's like, "What's going on?"
You know, it was bad, but also good that it wasn't this. I was worried there was something from Lower Decks that I hadn't seen because I haven't watched all the episodes.
Mm-hmm.
That was like some accidental holodeck experience or something.
And a $1 tip from Ignored. Thank you so much, Ignored. Good to see you, by the way, Thomas. It says, best episode of the series, 8 out of 10. Boimler looks much older in real life than in animation. Hashtag don't trust Canadian IT guys. I agree with all of that. Yeah, he does look older in real life, but that's just because the actor is,
he's like 32 or 33, something like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, obviously Boimler seems like he's like a teenager, but the actor is not, clearly.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I agree. This is a so far my favorite episode of the season easily. And I don't know about the series, but at least of the season by far.
Yes.
When they now in shots like this, when the camera's not right up in his face, he looks fine because you don't see the wrinkles.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got like older man face just kind of descended upon him.
Yes. And so I love the fact that he's like freaking out over the classic S-Cars system and stuff like that, which I believe this is the first canonization of the actual name of the operating system of...
I think so, because they never bothered to talk about it. It was just jelly bean buttons everywhere on the original series.
And so he's talking to La'an about the rules of time travel, don't get yourself in trouble. And of course she mentions don't make any attachments, like he's going to form a romantic relationship while he's there.
Yeah. Oh, you're slowly sliding off camera.
Yeah. And then
which I gotta say for a minute, I want to go back to the whole in the hallway with her comment.
Yeah.
I've said this a couple times this season, and it's the whole, I thought they said that this was going to be episodic Star Trek, but they keep slipping in not episodic Star Trek. I almost kind of wonder, even though we know season 1 was pretty good, and it was very good in comparison to the first season of any other Star Trek series.
Yeah.
I have to wonder if the writers and producers had have decided to actually do this as a way more deliberately blended episodic serialized, where it was more like things happen, but then you get towards the end of the season and then they culminate into something that you didn't fully realize was going to crystallize within the story. If that might have given them a bit better inspiration to then try to write even better for this season or something. I don't know, because I don't mind these callbacks. They remind me of episodes I'm not a big fan of, but they're doing it well. Like if every time they would come up, like this one here would be,
it would make sense. It's an organic thing.
Exactly. Like it felt right if I tell myself in my mind that I really liked that episode that the reference was from. So yeah, it's just half the reason why I get so frustrated with this season is because it's so frustrating.
Well, I think that it's
which I know is a tautology, but
I think it's episodic, but it has continuity, and that's something we're not used to from the old days.
Yeah.
Because in the old days, it was just, the magic reset button at the end of every episode.
Oh, yeah. It was just like, like Gilligan's Island.
Right. And Tentacle, what do you want them to do? You can't make them shorter?
Yeah, everybody has to walk around on apple crates around him. Yeah, because he's 6 feet tall. So, yeah, that's a big good luck with that.
So then he sees the saddle in the briefing room, and I don't know if you caught it, but I love it when he gets on the saddle and he goes Riker when he swings his leg over the saddle.
Yeah, I did. I caught it a lot clearer when I watched it the second time.
Yeah. Love that line. And of course, like some people be, like I know the Tokyo Trekker was saying like they know too much, but remember he served under Riker on the Titan.
Yeah.
So he's seen Riker do all sorts of stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
super tip.
Yep, a tip from Bender. Thank you, Bender Bending Rodriguez. If you don't know his full name, the robot from Futurama. Says, hello, meatbags. You should review the best show out there, the one with me. If you don't, you can bite my shiny metal ass. Dang it, I can't use string. Dang it, I can't use a string to get my money back. That's right, because it's digital currency. You can't use it to get your money back.
Yeah, no fishing line through a hole in the middle of your quarter on this one.
Did you watch the new episode of Futurama yet?
No, I didn't realize it was.
It is out on Hulu. Yes, I don't know.
I wonder if it's on D+.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love. Random Menace, Joseph, you are correct. DS9 did absolutely start doing that not too far into the series.
Yes.
And it did end up working very well. So,
I think
by
they're
the
kind
way,
of going for something similar.
By the way, I when people were beating up on the fandom, so to speak, of our disgust for what we got with Discovery, one of the worst things that was used as an excuse was that we didn't like serialized Star Trek, which is beyond foolish because DS9 had so much serialization in it. And over the long term, DS9 has become the black swan of Star Trek.
Yeah.
So I don't know where they got off with that, but yeah, DS9 was an excellent example that, courtesy of what's his name? Man, it's escaping at me at the moment. Our fine friend that went on to do Battlestar.
Ronald E. Moore.
Yeah, he had a huge hand in what was going on in
right.
In DS9. And yes, Futurama is on D+ up here, so I shall be able to try it out. The new episode.
So
anyway,
yes,
so the Riker maneuver over the saddle.
Number one was the hottest officer in Starfleet, and I did not know that Ransom is voiced by her real life husband. That's kind of funny.
Oh, that's wild. I wondered why he was in the credits when I was looking at the episode info for this episode. I hadn't even stopped to read what character he was. I was just like, oh, Jerry O'Connell. I wonder whose voice he did. Never even paid attention.
Do I think they'll make Lower Decks into a live action series? Why?
Yeah,
why would they do that? That doesn't even make sense.
No, the whole point of Lower Decks was to do it the way they are.
Yeah. So then Uhura question.
I know it works so well, honestly, because like I say, even with what I have watched of Lower Decks, it's like leave it to Boimler and Mariner to do something dumb and get caught doing it,
right?
Even if they're on their own, and even if dumb is only mildly embarrassing, it's just all these little things.
And the thing is like, and the funny thing is, they were both kind of fans of Uhura, but for different reasons.
Why there was, the question's coming up from Stan Lee. Why there was a saddle in that room specifically? I believe that's the captain's ready room. That's the ready room, and don't forget, Pike rides horses.
Yeah, that's Pike's desk right behind Boimler.
Yeah, and that's a very consistent piece of fact about Pike across.
Yeah, that goes all the way
multiple
back to the
series.
cage.
Yeah.
With his horse Tango. Yes, I remember that. And says Riker was ad-lib due to Frakes directing. I did not know that. That's funny. Although that doesn't surprise me. I could just see cracking up Jonathan Frakes by doing that.
Oh, he probably lost it, I'm sure, if he was on set when they were filming it at that moment.
Yeah. So she's trying to explain that she needs the room. She's trying to decipher language, and he's just like, "Yeah, well, I'm testing out this ancient saddle." Then they ask him to beam back down to the planet, and then he's admiring the old school tricorder. And this is actually a callback to Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, because Jadzia loses her mind over the old tricorders.
Yes. So nice little touch where they both admire the aesthetic of the tricorders.
Yeah.
Although I did like the fact that he says that the newer ones don't blow up as often. And then Beg is like, what do you mean blow up? So they figure that they can they're trying to figure out what's going on, but then a ship shows up, and the ship itself is another callback. This is one of those episodes you can tell this is a hybrid Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks, because Lower Decks does callback after callback after callback in their episodes. And this episode of Strange New Worlds has a lot of callbacks in it. And that ship is one of them. Do you recognize the ship?
No, because I haven't watched enough Lower Decks. I've only seen.
It's not from Lower Decks. That's the thing. It's from TOS.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow!
It's a much more detailed look, but that is
TOS.
Yes.
See, my problem is I have seen all of TOS. However, I don't watch it quite as frequently as any of you guys, or some of you guys, I should say.
Bird, do you recognize it if you're awake?
What episode?
I think Bird might be out.
Yeah, or he might not be able to say anything, but yeah, I don't recognize that.
I meant to try and get the clip for it, but let me see if I can pull it up real quick. And I believe it's season 2. Oops. Wrong folder.
I've only seen some of the remastered episodes of TOS, Patrick. I haven't seen nearly all of them at all. So I'm not sure what I think about them either, because it's kind of jarring to go from remastered space scenes to not remastered something else. So is that the episode Kirk fights a fake Andorian? Is that the episode you're looking for?
And Spock figures out that it's an Orion ship.
Ah, okay. Oh yeah.
And if you look at the design of it, it's
the
circle with the lights on it.
Spinema-thinging, yeah. Look at that.
That is the same ship right there. It's just much more highly defined.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Ooh.
All right, so I'll go back to Strange New Worlds. And I do like they're like, it looks like it might be an Orion ship. And he's like, oh yeah, it's totally an Orion ship. And remember, in TOS, they didn't know that was an Orion ship.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he kind of may have already changed the future now that they know what an Orion ship looks like.
Yeah.
Well, you see, like where it's a little blurry right here, how it looks. You can see that's the same design.
Yeah.
So he's like, yeah, build a ship in a bottle of one of those classic Scout designs.
Yeah, it's like it was a little ship, but it was a big bottle.
Yeah. And Joseph, have a good one, buddy.
Night, Joseph.
And so the and so of course he's like trying not to change the future. She but fails at every turn. He's like, yeah, don't blow him up.
Yeah.
I just happen to know that.
Yeah. Yeah, one of my friends' grandmother's on that. Don't blow it up.
And so then the Orion actually steals the time portal and leaves with it. And Pike sits down with number one and is like, yeah, I shouldn't have trusted him.
Now, I know I already said this to you on Sunday night, and I wanted to make sure I didn't forget it for this. But one of the more interesting things with this episode for me was that the characters are, I found, other than, of course, when they were off duty, like when Ortegas is given the screws to Boimler in the bar.
Yeah.
I actually preferred the more serious acting that was pulled out of the characters for their roles when they were on duty. If I personally think that if we had just a little touch of that added to even the episodes in season 2 that I didn't like, I think it would have somehow improved it for me, that I would have liked it more. Mm-hmm. But then again, that comes back to directorship. Like I think that if Frakes was involved with more of these episodes, there'd be more chances for really solid outcomes.
You just like Frakes too much.
I kind of do.
Yeah. You know, and something I've said is where I think Terry Matalas was wasted his talent was putting him on Picard, because clearly he should be doing a show like this. And I'm not saying that because I like this show better, even though I do. I'm saying that because based on what we see of the aesthetic and everything of Picard, Terry Matalas obviously loves this era of Trek.
Yes.
And so he should be doing a show that takes place in this era.
I would, you know what? Honestly, even though this whole strike business is going to be extremely disruptive for a while, I think, if anything, if they were smart, they would hand Strange New Worlds over to Terry. I think with the cast they've got, and if they can get the writing straightened out, I think it would be a much better total product if they were to hand this over to Terry.
Well, like I said, I think that would be a better fit than putting him on something in the TNG era.
Well, and I think it was a bit of an unfortunate, we're burned out towards the end, and Terry's actually done a show that has reasonably decent reviews and was reasonably popular within the sphere of people that would watch it. So
I don't get the feeling he'd take. I don't get the feeling.
You don't think he would take the show? No.
No, I think he enjoyed Picard. Picard era.
Oh, you figure he thinks he maybe took that as too much of a a boyhood dream, so to speak, to be able to
Yeah.
to do
I don't
a
think
show
there's
that he
enough-
would have.
Enough references for him to reference to write in this timeline.
That is a possibility.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
he's.
sure he could come up with some.
I was just checking his age, and yeah, so he's 6 months younger than me. So yeah, so I could see that this would be a giant dream come true for him to have gotten to actually run effectively in a season of TNG. So yeah, I can kind of see the point where it is that yeah, maybe he wouldn't want to.
And as Stanley brings up, they don't see a problem with their writing. So they don't think it needs to be improved.
That is the first step, though, is you have to acknowledge you have a problem. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
And out of curiosity, I checked Metacritic, the only place I trust at this point, and the user reviews are currently now split on season 2.
mhm.
So yeah, so season 2 is definitely a much weaker season than season 1.
No,
Season
don't-
one's use. I know you won't argue that point, but I know
Yeah.
you see it as not as bad as some are looking at it as.
Right. I don't see it as a total dumpster fire, but I definitely see season 2 as weaker.
Yeah.
Which I don't like. I don't like seeing a negative trend on it. I hope that season 3 turns it around. But what they really need to do, and this is something, I've said before, is that they need to stop this writer's room style of Trek. And
They need a creative director that manages the general direction.
right.
And he puts their foot down, or she puts the foot down and says no.
Right. By the way, did you send Danny the link to the show? Because I'm wondering, we haven't seen him yet.
No.
Okay.
Did you send
He
it
should
to
have
him?
shown up like a half an hour ago.
Okay. Well, I'll ping it to his phone.
Okay.
I'm surprised he didn't show up in the chat in here saying, hey, link.
Of course, Danny says half an hour. To him, that could mean like 3 hours. But yeah, I think that the whole idea of like you get a writer's room full of, like we're talking about, sitcom writers that don't know anything about science fiction, as opposed to, we go back to the original series, you had actual science fiction authors that were writing the stories. And it's one thing, like if you have a script supervisor, like in the original series, it was DC Fontana, who basically goes over and makes sure that the scripts are consistent, that the characters work within, the way they're supposed to, and that kind of thing. But you don't have just a writer's room of generic TV show writers. You've got to have sci-fi specialists.
Yeah.
And Star Trek right now doesn't have any sci-fi writers. You've got a bunch of TV show writers that are trying to come up with sci-fi.
I hope that was tongue in cheek, Stan.
Yeah.
Considering 'twas not a guy.
Yes. But the and keep in mind, DC Fontana, while she did write some good stories, her main contribution was as a script supervisor for the original series, that she kept things consistent.
Yeah.
And some of the great stories actually came from Gene Coon. And he's the one that everybody forgets about. And so, which is, I think a lot of that is because he died back in the 70s. But and no, Chief, this is not a public chat here today. But Gene Coon was one that a lot of people forget about, and he's the one, he invented the Klingons, He invented a lot of the staples that we take for granted now in Star Trek.
Yeah. And one of the things that was for the most part maintained in TNG was a writing guide.
Right.
So there were a lot of rules that you had to follow when you submitted scripts, whether you were just rando person submitting a script or even, within the writing guilds.
And absolutely, Thomas, Trek absolutely would have failed without DC and Kuhn. Those two, more than any other people, I think those two made Star Trek. That and the studio interference that made the show more diverse and bright, which is kind of funny. Because the original, if you look at the original pilot, it was an all-white cast, and the show was very gray, and everybody wore the same color.
Yeah.
And so the studio interference was to add color to it in both the tone of the show and the characters.
Yeah.
But which is unfortunately, nowadays we think studio interference is always a bad thing. Anyway, so meanwhile, Boimler is writing something down. So it looks like some kind of mathematical equation. Warp field mechanics, it says, which, he did like to mess around with stuff like that in Lower Decks. So, but probably a bad idea for him to be jotting stuff like that down, because he could accidentally, cause them to advance their technology. And so then this is where Ortegas and Chapel start messing with him, which I honestly, I thought was a fun little scene where, so as the nausea kicked in, which, by the way, this was a Futurama reference. I don't know if you caught that.
No, because I've only seen the odd Futurama episode, which I enjoy them all, but I only ever catch a few of them.
Nurse Chapel.
Did you talk about Futurama being back?
Huh?
Yeah. He brought it up earlier.
And
I checked, unfortunately, up in Canada.
Yeah, I really liked the first episode, so
yeah,
we're gonna have to start talking about that whenever you and Danny start watching it. But yeah, in when she mentions chronoton poisoning. Chronotons are particles of time in Futurama.
Well, they are in. They call them chronometric particles in Star Trek, but same idea.
Yeah. And then we get that so that incredibly disturbing look.
Oh yeah.
Which is,
I've on the second watch through, I was starting to wonder if the level of exaggerated Spock in this episode is more a representation of how Boimler sees it in his mind, as opposed to what we're being presented as a viewer.
Right.
I think he's seeing him.
Sorry.
I think. Yeah, go ahead. That's fine.
Okay, I honestly was wondering if the time portal he went through was actually causing him to see what he wanted to see. Like if the time portal was somehow having an effect on Spock, because he mentioned wanting to see Spock in a certain way. And for a little bit, I thought maybe this was all because of the portal he went through, but then in the end, it turned out not to have anything to do with that. So,
and that's actually a possibility too. At least we can think about it. Oh, super chat, eh?
And SVS Guru with another $5. This time $5 says, I'm pretty sure they called them chronoton particles in Voyager 2. Did they? I don't remember.
They may have. It's very possible.
Voyager.
Yeah.
I remember it very clearly in Futurama, but I don't remember them. If they used it in Voyager, that's hilarious. So
Yeah.
um,
And yes, Patrick, that was a different show. It was called Fantasy Island. But yeah, Stan says, Boimler is just so glommed onto everything. I mean, his reactions to everything around him have been over exaggerated. So that's why I kind of lean in on the maybe any smile on Spock. This was what his brain was seeing.
well, keep in mind that Spock is also so not good at expressing emotions that it just looks so weird.
Yeah, you could almost chalk it up to a visual equivalent to that whole business in the Voyage Home when he tried to use the colorful metaphors and was not able to. He just donkeys on it instead of actually pulling it off.
Spock is consciously trying to smile.
Yeah.
And he does it a couple of times in this episode. And honestly, I just, my favorite thing is just the reaction on Boimler's face, just the pure look
just
of
dread.
horror.
Yeah.
And the thing is that they don't, it makes sense again following, even though I'm not a big fan of obviously the previous episode, but at least it's an organic, logical follow-up to what happened. Spock is trying to, he experienced being human. He wants to try to explore, since T'Pring has kind of brushed him aside for a while, he wants to kind of explore having a relationship with Nurse Chapel. And so he's trying to express his human side.
Have a good one, Patrick. Thanks for coming by.
Take it easy, Patrick. But he's just not very good at it.
Yeah.
And so we get this creepy, AI Spock. And so that's when Boimler goes to Nurse Chapel and is like, that's not Spock. What's the deal? Which just kind of break her heart a little bit, because that means that history doesn't remember him being with her.
Yeah.
Which
is kind of funny, because there's all these little things throughout this episode where there's little winks and nods at, I think, that are tapping on the glass of the TV to, make an older television reference,
right?
Because we don't have glass in our TVs anymore. Well, unless you still have a plasma. But later on, Mariner makes a comment of something to the effect that this is not at all what should be going on with Spock or something. And, just little things that kind of feel like acknowledgement. Maybe it's a lampshade. I don't know, but it's just, I've really enjoyed the writing and the directing in this. Don't say that theory. What?
The triple timeline theory. No, this is the Toronto timeline.
Yeah, this is the Toronto timeline. It is a fourth branch. It is the fourth leg on the dog.
Yeah. We are now into the quad timeline territory. So
we have a quadruped.
Yeah. So that while it does hurt Nurse Chapel's feelings, it kind of the problem we run into, and this is where I understand where the continuity Nazis, for lack of a better term, get really upset, because they're trying to argue that this is the same continuity as the original series, when it's not.
Yeah, everyone tries to jam it into Prime.
Right.
And
this is not the same Nurse Chapel that we see in Amok Time.
Yeah.
And so if it were, I could totally understand why we got things that are off. But you know what? Even that Nurse Chapel is not consistent with herself, because Does she love Spock or does she love Dr. Corby? Because in one episode she loves Spock, then like 2 episodes later she loves Dr. Corby, and then 2 episodes after that she loves Spock again. So, whatever. But this Chapel, the one thing we didn't have was Chapel actually being involved in a relationship with Spock. Where this Chapel clearly did get at least, maybe, they're at least, maybe not full on, I don't know what you would call the level of their relationship, but it was to the point where Spock was suggesting that they alert, their superiors.
Yeah, they're hanging out more than maybe the average 2 people do.
Yes.
Something.
So that means that, Spock may be thinking that his relationship with T'Pring is pretty much over and that it's time to consider Nurse Chapel. And if this is a different timeline, that's perfectly fine. But that could also mean that Boimler, now Boimler could be from the Prime timeline. He could be from some other timeline, since he's from an animated series, maybe he's from some other dimension, right? Who knows? But with Boimler, he could be thinking back on history the way that it happened in the Prime timeline. And so for him, this is a different Spock.
What's Thomas saying? Spock said Aurora and JJ Spock and Chapel and Curtin. Well, and then before that, he's going.
What's that? Spock and Scotty. Well, keep in mind, both the Spock and Uhura and Spock and Chapel were both hinted at in the original series.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with either relationship. I do think having a love triangle with Chapel and T'Pring is an interesting dynamic that they can.
When was Spock and Uhura hinted at?
In season 1, Uhura flirted with Spock multiple times.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell me I'm a beautiful young lady?
No, it's auto corrupt, Thomas.
So now they're trying to figure out how they could possibly track the Orion ship, to which Boimler's like, I can do that. And they're like, yeah, we're not going to let you, do more. And he goes, well, what if you just...
We're not allowed to do that.
Yeah. What if you just don't look? And I like Una. She's like, we can't just not look. Can we?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so he starts digging under the console while everybody else on the bridge is literally just got their backs to him while he's jury rigging the controls to be able to track the ship. Which is cool because this is something like if you watch Lord Dex, this is something Boimler could do.
Oh, totally. Yeah, no, it all makes it works perfectly fine.
And they're all like, yeah, we're not looking.
Yeah.
And so the Enterprise tracks him down. And I do like, he's like, hey, you're legendary for your abilities to your diplomacy and and your kindness and your charity and your really great hair.
Oh yeah. I loved all the little fawning things and all the little slip ups, like by the way, it's his birthday, and
yeah, he goes, well, his birthday's a holiday in the future. Oh shoot. And I do like that, because who wouldn't feel this way? Like Pike is, every time he fanboys out, Pike, you can tell, is genuinely enamored by it. Because
he's at first it's annoyed, and then he's like, oh well.
It's kind of nice to have a fan, you know?
Yeah. And on Worf's honor, yeah.
yeah.
Although no one's gonna know that one, so that one was kind of like an inside. It was like a singular wit.
Yeah,
comment
he should have
on
said,
his
"I
part.
swear to Q." That's what he should have said right there.
Yeah.
You know, but
although they did the Q thing
they did the Q thing later, but that right there, you should have said, "I swear to Q," and then he'd be like, "Oh, you don't know about him." So they negotiate to get the portal back, and then they activate it so that he can finally go home. And he's like, well, guys, this has been like the greatest time of my life. And notice Odd still has her phaser.
Yeah, she's trusting nothing.
Yeah, she's like ready to shoot him in the back. And they're like, okay, go through the portal now. And he's like, okay, I'm going now. And then all of a sudden, Mariner comes bolting through.
Yeah.
And she's like, yay, I'm rescuing you. He's like, you idiot. We only had enough juice for one more trip. And so now Mariner's stuck there too. And I like Pike. 5 beam up.
Yeah.
So trying to figure out what they're going to do now. And she's like,
hey.
She's like, oh, Spock is so much hotter than I thought. And it's like, didn't you get, oh, hey, Danny, he's alive.
Hot time in the city.
And naked.
Dude, okay.
You didn't have to be naked, dude.
No, so this place I moved into, it's got, so in Vegas, 2-story houses have 2 units, one for the upstairs, one for the downstairs. And I'm renting the entire downstairs, right? And surprise, surprise, the AC unit's broken, and we can't get anybody out here to fix it till tomorrow between 4 and 6 p.m. Yeah, so adding to the frustration is he's got a lot of electrical problems, and the dude can't come out till Saturday to even try to fix those. So I've been moving furniture, I'm on my phone right now because I can't get I can't get my computer working because I can't find a fracking outlet that works. And I've just been, I've been kind of listening to you guys on the, on the phone. And, anyway, so no, I mean, normally I wouldn't be, much to Ariel's delight, I'm topless, but normally I wouldn't be. So
this is not a freebie. You owe us for this.
But
there shall be back taxes.
Yeah. I do want to say though, man, some of the people, I haven't been able to keep up with all the chat, but every once in a while I'd view the chat, and there's no way for me to do it now because I'm doing the StreamYard through the phone, and I don't know how to see the chat. I'm trying to figure it out. Yeah, well.
You should be able to make this. Oh, you're doing StreamYard, so yeah, you can.
Yeah, so I can't. So, but I tell you what, man, some of the people like Stan Lee and Chief Cook, you guys just don't like life. You're asking the dumbest questions. You're making the stupidest nitpicks. It's like, Jesus, man, this was easily my favorite episode of any Strange New Worlds episode. Easily. That's why I talked to both you guys like on the phone, gushing over this episode, and I was really hoping to have all my stuff set up so I could have been, on here the whole time proper, but I love this episode so much. Oh my God, it's just so good. And it's such it just makes me happy. And anybody else who says otherwise, dude, you need to find Jesus or something. I don't know.
It just flows.
You know it's bad when Danny's telling you to find Jesus.
Right? Yeah. Come on. Anyway. So I'm here.
By the way, you know, from this angle with your beard and everything, you look like a gladiator right now. You just need a sword in your hand and a, you know.
Well, the bat left is in the garage. I haven't, you know, so I'm all moved. Like the joke I was making earlier is, I'm all moved out. It's probably going to be another few weeks, if not a month, before I'm all moved in. You know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that problem. Yeah.
But
you don't have power in the room with your desk.
Well, on half. So here, hold up. So this is old timey lawyer style desk.
Yeah, very nice.
It's like, you know, and this side of the room doesn't have power. This side of the room with the TV has power. I don't get it. So it's just frustrating, man.
You can run an extension cord around.
And then the ceiling fan doesn't work, which would help a little if it did, you know, but it's just been,
Did you reset your circuit breakers?
Yes, I did. I did that. And I did all the little, you know, the little outlets that have the reset trip things.
The GFI.
Yeah. So
it sounds like one of your poles is out.
Something, I don't know. Like I said, AC guy's going to be here tomorrow. Electrician's going to be here Saturday. Hopefully next
tell
week.
Your power company.
Huh?
If one of your poles is out, your power company.
I don't think it's a pole, man. I just think like because so in here.
I'm not saying a literal like pole. Do you know what an electrical pole is?
Oh, you mean the leg?
Half of the
Oh,
you
half
mean the
of
leg,
your 220.
So I have so here's the it's pretty nice. I'm getting a steal of a deal. So here so if I can, I don't know how to flip the camera around. So anyway, so I come in. This is my entrance here. Okay, so I come in. This is like a hallway, and then this is eventually going to be my son's room in here. I don't know if you can see it, but it's full of crap right now, you know. And then, of course, the ceiling fan here don't work either. Nothing in this room works, which is crazy. Nothing. Okay, the lights up here don't work. So there's some kind of serious electrical problem here. The bathroom works. So here's the bathroom, and it works. See, got light in there. And then this is my bedroom here. Light in here works. And this whole wall here with the TV works. But nothing over here works, which is where I'm supposed to, like, you see my computer there. I've been, anyway.
Yeah. Bird, I would not bet against you. I bet
it looks exactly like one of
leg
his poles, a leg is out.
Yeah, I think you're right.
A leg?
So you need to tell your power company.
Every service that comes in to houses in the US and Canada technically is like Europe in that it's got 240 volts or 220, however you want to measure it.
Right.
But it comes in on two out of phase legs. And then if you need to have 240 volts for a dryer or something like that, you can combine them together and produce 240 volts. So what happens though is half of your 120 breakers run on one leg and the other half run on another. So if you've got
the laundry room
leg,
is down here also, and this shit works. So
dryer works.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't like it's
dryer could be a 110.
Is it electric?
That's
maybe.
a good question. I don't know, man.
Man, it'd be weird to have a 110 dryer. I've never seen such a thing.
Well, is your dryer electric or gas?
I don't know. It's electric.
Okay, yeah. So if the dryer works, that's really weird. I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out. I don't know.
Oh my god, Jesus. Okay, stop making me so big. I'm hairy. It's weird.
You're really hairy.
Do you know is your electric box nearby?
It's outside, and I already checked all the breakers and everything. It's just. But hey, I'd like to get caught up real quick. So, just like quick hot takes. Love the episode. I loved how first thing Boimler says when he sees everybody is like, "Wow, you guys are so realistic," and then he passes out. That was so funny. And Did you already go over the scene in the elevator with Chapel where he basically breaks her heart?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. I don't know, man. I just love everything about this episode. Where are we at right now? What part is this?
Mariner just joined the cast, and they're having the meeting in the briefing room with Mariner. She's talking about how hot Spock is.
Okay, I didn't realize how hot young Spock was. Yeah. That was so good. And I thought, isn't she lesbian though? That's the funny part.
No, well, I think she's like bi.
In Lower Decks?
Yeah, in Lower Decks.
Yeah, in Lower Decks, she had a girlfriend.
She has a girlfriend, but she also dated dudes. So it's like.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So she's a free love hippie. All right.
Yeah.
I know. Okay. Oh my God! The other thing I loved was when he puts his leg, he does the Riker maneuver over the saddle, and he says,
he goes, Riker. Yeah, I think it was Chief Cook said that line was actually improvised.
It was. So I watched. I know you guys don't because you don't like Will Wheaton. I watched the Ready Room episode, and they had Boimler, Mariner, and Riker on the couch, and it was an ad lib, but it broke Riker so much, or Jonathan Frakes so much, he kept it in the episode.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, that's a great little. And what I was saying is that it makes perfect sense because he served under Riker on the Titan, so he would have.
See, I got to go back and watch that. See, that's season 2 that I didn't watch, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So since he did serve with Riker, he would know about Riker's habit of doing that.
Yeah. Oh my God!
Speaking of which, when they were sitting there talking, I do like that. He's she's like, I thought you said they were cool. Well, they are cool, but this is serious. Look, it's not like you ended up in a dystopian past, like in San Francisco or something. And then
Uno's like, you notice how their references are eerily specific.
Yeah. The one show is calling out the other show right in front of you.
Yeah.
And then they're like, are they calling out another show? And so they're trying to figure out what to do.
You guys realize it's like 112 in Vegas, and so inside this room, it's at least 100 degrees, if not more. It's like,
gross.
Hey Ariel, if you're watching, baby, here you go. This is for you. Oh yeah, look at this sexy man. Look at this big fat belly, his hair.
I think Ariel ran away now.
Oh my God. And on top of this miserable move, which I've been doing by myself, I didn't get my weekly fix of Battlestar. So I'm like, it's just not been a good week.
Oh, don't worry. If you're ready this Saturday, it'll be worth the wait.
Oh, yeah, no, I should be. I mean, well, the electrician's coming out Saturday, so I don't know, but Sunday for sure. As long as he fixes.
For those of you that don't know, he'll be getting the Adama maneuver episode this next time we watch. So which is
if it turns into a Sunday watch, but
we'll make it work. Okay. Yeah, you don't want to miss the Adama maneuver. It'll be worth.
Oh wow! You know what I just noticed?
That you're naked on the internet.
No, you'll appreciate this, Jason. So the water cooler in here.
Yeah.
Normally you can see when I have power. I just noticed I never took the little protective film off of the thing.
I love it when I find random things that I forgot to take that off of, and then I get to peel it off for the first time.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do right now. I wish I had a can of air. I need to get one. This thing is so dusty. Anyway, ignore me. Let's keep talking about the show.
So they're trying to figure out what the heck to do because they don't have any what is it called? Heromium or something?
We'll just call it Harambe.
Unobtainium.
You know what I love is that all the Archer references, all the NX-01 references in this episode, and it ends up being like the the thing that saves the day is the little piece of the NX-01 that's in the engineering. I really love little things because I actually liked Enterprise a lot. I know a lot of people didn't. Look, here it is. Watch. It's for you, Jason. I don't know if you can see it.
Peeled. Peeled. Now it's going to shine even brighter in your eyes for the next little while.
Except now your computer's going to explode the next time you turn it on.
Yeah, it's the only thing that kept it alive.
So there we
go.
When
I leave here, I'm getting a can of air since I can't get the damn thing to work till this weekend anyway.
So Spock cracks a little joke about blowing his hands off, and then we get another creepy Spock smile.
Riker coined again. This was from Ready Room. He coined the. How like you've got Benifer and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He called them Spoimler on set.
Spoimler.
Yeah. It was Spock and Boimler.
Yeah.
I loved I really love this episode a lot, but I loved all the interactions between. Have you gotten to the part yet where they're synthesizing? That's coming up, right? And they got the big goggles on.
Right up.
Yeah. Oh my God, that shit is so funny.
Yeah. So, Boimler and Mariner are like trying to figure out what's going, what to do. Meanwhile, number one shows up, and of course, the second number one shows up, Boimler's like, "Yeah, I'm out of here." And by the way,
what's funny is like she thought it was like bad, like, oh my God, like what terrible, horrible thing happened to me in the future, and it's basically she's basically the equivalent of like Cindy Crawford to him.
Well,
he's got.
She is the what's the name of that Rosie the
Rosie the Riveter?
Yeah. Because she is the literal poster girl of Starfleet.
Yeah.
Okay, so
dude, and a nice touch is
shot of him power walking away.
Yeah. Now that's actually called something on Lower Decks. It's like
because he does it on Lower Decks.
Yeah.
Watch him swing those hips here, just like right there. Look at that.
Yeah.
He just starts to really get going as it cuts.
And this exchange is so great. Yeah. So she's like, because Mariner doesn't understand what number one means by like a pinup girl. And he's like, well, it's a poster with pins in. Are we talking about the same thing here?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like Una's a lot closer to what pinup girl used to mean than they are. So what have I walked into?
So meanwhile, she's helping Uhura out, and she's expecting Uhura to be a party girl, but Uhura turns out to be more like Boimler,
right?
Which really has her kind of surprised because she was expecting like just she had this reputation of being the fun-loving girl, so she's like, nope, we're going to the bar, and she even quotes regulations to get her there.
Yeah,
and
I did love the whole fact that the Mariner being a slacker got brought up as well. Of course, I know all the regulations that help me slack off.
Right.
Right.
Like that you have to take regular meal breaks.
Yeah.
And then right here, so she makes them some Orion. What would they call it? Orion Hurricanes.
Yeah.
Except they're not authentic because she doesn't have the actual Orion boot.
Which I love how they pay that off in the end.
Yeah.
Of the episode. Yeah.
We'll get to that, of course. And so they're.
It might actually be cooler outside. Sorry, I'm going to walk around since I'm on my phone.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Everybody's enjoying your nakedness. Don't forget to super chat if you want to see more of his nakedness.
Dude, I tell you what, I might drop the shorts. It is that freaking hot. So, but I'll wait till you get a super chat.
Are you sure you're in the right county to get away with that? I don't know. Is Henderson? Are they willing to deal with that?
No, I'm in Vegas proper, but I'm not in Pahrump. So But I can't see the comments, so you got to let me know if there is a super chat, and I'll drop trials.
Yeah, there you go. So,
well, there's the phrase of the day I did not expect to hear.
Right?
Danny's going to drop trow for anybody that wants to pay for it. That's the word of the day.
See, at least
Danny's-
there's a breeze out here. Like inside, it's.
Danny's Bordello.
Yeah. Haha.
So I do like, Uhura was sneaking, trying to work while they were drinking, but then they finally tell her to knock it off. So she, so she's like
Sneaks her homework in.
Yeah.
I like how Ortegas is the one that basically cracks the code, though. That was kind of.
But
good.
if you think one thing that's interesting, Ortegas and Uhura are basically Boimler and Mariner.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a sense, yeah. I just love the flippant, oh, well, hey, I bought a Domjot game that looks like that.
Yeah.
And then Mariner makes a comment. It's a game they're very terrible at. The Nausicaans are terrible at, but seem to always want to bet on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which,
Jeez,
for those of you who don't remember,
buddy?
that's a callback to TNG when Picard gets stabbed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What is your? I don't know whose hair you're bragging on, but
Tawny's or Tawny.
Yeah.
I thought she looked
Mariners.
perfect, man. I don't know. I like Chief, Stan, all you naysayers and nitpickers.
That's
fucking-
mostly just Chief.
Just like, come on,
he's
man.
just a
Find
hater.
some happiness in your life. Jesus, man. Come on. It's
Come
like
on,
so good.
man.
Yeah, come on.
And you're right.
man.
I'm pimping out Danny. Anything I can do to make a few bucks. That's right, Sirstress.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh.
All right, so
Jesus. You guys know what the Mountain Dew is?
I know what the drink Mountain Dew is. In fact, I
So
have
Mountain Dew is when you have like man titties, like I do, sadly.
Okay,
The sweat that accumulates.
Really,
The sweat that accumulates.
Okay,
underneath.
no, Danny.
I call it the Mountain Dew. It's terrible.
Danny,
Yeah.
yeah. That's not what we need to talk about here.
Oh, sorry. I was just trying to get you more.
That's not going to
Whatever.
get us more of anything. That's going to make people run away in terror.
Oh.
All right, so
So Domjot.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
talking about Domjot and stuff. Well, first they get mad at her for messing around, so she's like, "Fine, I'll drink my drink," and so she slams it, and they're like,
Yeah, I liked how Mariner was like, oh, okay,
yeah,
Yeah.
And Stanley is talking about man milk, and
Talking about what?
man milk. That's what he calls your Mountain Dew.
Oh, fair enough.
And so that's when Ortegas recognizes the symbols, and she's like, "Oh, you're a genius." And then we go to Spock and Boimler working in the lab.
This might be. I love this whole episode. I don't know if it's my favorite scene. It's definitely up there. I love this scene.
I do like this scene. I like their, I think Spock and Boimler have some good chemistry here, where they're just like, working
It's
together.
like our spark's bad. Yes, you should take cover now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's like, Spark.
He's very matter of fact about the whole thing, except for that
Yeah.
one moment where, do you feel lucky?
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Do you feel lucky? He looks totally psychotic when he says that.
Yeah. Because he's just so bad. Because this is not the human Spock from the last episode, which I liked a lot more than you guys, but I still gave it a 5. This is Spock, Vulcan Spock, pretending to be human in a way. You know what I mean? So he's just so bad at it. It's
Right.
hilarious.
But yeah, I like that. It's like, Sparks? Is that bad? Yes, that is bad. Take cover.
Yeah. And he does the Boimler scream, like,
Yes.
which was so It was so
Yeah.
funny. So
And this too here with the cut
Yeah.
like this, because they set that up to look like cartoon.
Yeah. Jonathan Frakes really knocked that out of the park.
That could have been a scene right out of a Lower Decks episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, you must
Totally.
have heard me. You must have heard me man crushing over Frakes' ability to direct earlier.
Well, I tell you what, he doesn't. I don't think he's ever done comedy before, and he's good at it. He should it's like when Leonard Nimoy did 3 Men and a Baby. It's like maybe Frakes should. Maybe this is his new calling. Maybe he should do more comedies.
He's definitely better at that than he is in serious Star Trek. Shots fired.
Wow, really?
Ooh.
Talking crap about Picard season 3 again.
I am.
All right.
So Boimler goes down to engineering feeling bad for himself. And this is where I think the show went slightly sideways because they presented what I think would have been a more clever solution and ignored it. And instead went for the whole NX thing. When I can never remember the new chief engineer's name.
Panera.
Panera.
Pelia.
I was in Panera Bread. She's
Carol Kane. Just call it, Carol Kane.
Panera Bread tells them that, obviously the solution is to get a time travel device and prevent yourself from screwing all this up. Right? and it's like, what he should have done was like, all of a sudden had a light bulb moment and like, yes, of course. And then had Pike take him to the Guardian of Forever.
Nah, man, don't touch that episode. That's my favorite TOS episode. Like,
I think what they could have done if you wanted to bring in a Guardian of Forever reference is he could have mentioned it, and then Pelia knows some good reason to not let them get near it, and she just kind of goes, no.
Yeah. You don't want
to know what the Guardian of Forever is.
I can't see the chat. Is Ariel still here? Has she made any kind of comment whatsoever about my sexy?
Trying to. What were you saying, Bird?
None of them should know what the Guardian of Forever is.
No, that's not true. Mariner and Boimler would know.
Boimler would know.
Boimler. I thought you meant.
And Pelia could know because she's thousands of years old.
Yeah, she may not have just not told anybody about it.
Yeah. But no, I haven't seen Ariel in hours.
Oh, well, she's missing out.
Yeah, she's missing all the naked Danny time.
She'll have to rewatch. But yeah, they could have done it. They could have done a nice little hand wave like that with Pelia. Take advantage of her obvious depth of knowledge.
Yeah.
I'm still not quite sold on this engine room. I think
that shot makes it look slightly less bigger than some of the other shots have made it look. So it's not as bad.
That, looking back, that I can tell that's supposed to be the same thing that like Scotty was looking back at the back of the engine room.
Right, yeah.
But it's just a little too
much.
Yeah. I think
busy?
Yeah, a little too busy. I think that's the right word.
Yeah.
Overall, I like the design, but I think they needed to tone it down a bit.
Yeah. Kind of like if they were to just delete the chandelier from the mess hall bar.
Then it would be the bar, but the chandelier is a little over the top.
Yeah.
Do you guys just look? You sound like Chief Cook now. Do you just look for shit to complain about? Come on.
Wow,
man.
Dude, I like the show.
Well, this isn't about this episode. This is about, just general set
design. I mean,
just choices at this point.
I got you.
And it's not even a set design, since that's really just a digital extension. There's no set.
Hey, man, if I passed out, call 911 because that'll be heat exhaustion. Oh, God.
Drink.
I can't
hydrate.
sweat. I don't know if you guys can see it.
I don't live in Vegas.
I can't stop sweating. Oh, my God.
Are you drinking water?
I'm drinking Gatorade. I mean,
there you go. Electrolytes. That's good.
Yeah,
Well, keep drinking it.
Yeah. It's what plants crave, right? Isn't that what the...
Yeah, exactly. It's got electrolytes.
Do you have any fans or anything you can blow on yourself?
No, man. I remember I showed you the fan's broken, too.
Yeah, but you don't have like a regular old box fan or anything?
No, I don't, because, I've been spoiled. I've always lived in places with working air conditioning, so I never needed a fan. So, yeah.
So,
notice how, I don't know if you guys brought this up because I didn't listen to off and on because I also had to take some calls and stuff. How freaking, if Boimler's as tall as he is, that means Ransom must be 8 feet tall.
Someone brought that up. Actually, Yosef showed up earlier and he's like, the This is a problem.
I mean, obviously, you know, they just had to say, well, I guess he's taller and
yeah, like him and Mariner, like the actress that like Connie Newsom or whatever.
Yeah.
Or is that her name? She's tall too, man. Like
she's basically 5'10".
Yeah.
So they
this is so funny. This is where they're about to get caught by La'an and scream like little. Oh, I love it. It's right out of the cartoon.
Lower Decks, right? Yeah. Says, oh, my Q. No, they don't know about Q. They have a Trelane thing going here.
Yeah.
Well, I love that. That was so cool. That was a nice nod.
But they so they figured that they're going to use the shuttle's comm system to try and reach out to the Orions to try and trade the grain back in order to get in order to get the colony back their stuff, because you know they're never going back to their time. And then they get busted by La'an because you know La'an doesn't play. They're not used to being on a starship with competent people.
Right. But La'an actually made a comment. There was a line of dialogue where she said something about Uhura, you know, always like monitoring comms, and that's how she knew they were there.
Yeah, that's how they caught him.
Yeah.
And so, and La'an's just love it. You know, La'an's like, I would love to see La'an meet the chief of security on the Cerritos. You know,
the Bajoran dude. What's his name?
They just want to eject warp cores together, I think.
Yeah.
You know, now that they've done this, I would love it, and they probably won't. And I don't know how it would make sense story-wise. I would love to see a crossover the other way, where a couple of them, the live-action guys, show up on Lower Decks as animated characters. I mean, especially after watching the last, 2 minutes of this episode.
Right.
Mike is supposed to show up in Lower Decks.
Is he really? That'd be awesome.
That's what I heard.
Oh, well, now I really have to go back and,
Well, Lower Decks is coming out this fall, right?
Yeah, I heard
September.
Pike is going to be on Lower Decks this season.
That'd be dope.
Yeah.
That'd be cool to see.
We did miss one.
This is like you're both
comment.
confined to quarters for the rest of your stay, and then you're going to be Starbase One's problem.
Yeah, we did miss one fun comment that was in the shuttle too. Was the why does everybody talk so slow?
Yeah,
it's so quiet.
They complained that on Lower Decks they talk too fast.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that a lot of fans say is on Lower Decks they talk too fast, and it's like, well, yeah, it's a fast-paced show.
30 minutes, yeah.
And I do like, he's like, yeah, Boimler, you seem like a rule follower, but you sure do break a lot of rules, you know.
He doesn't mean to, though. He just can't help himself. Especially like it's basically like, I think I said this to Jason on the phone. These two guys, it'd be like if any of us happened to end up on the Enterprise, we'd just be fanboying out the whole time. Like,
yeah.
And it's just not a Strange New Worlds episode if there's not at least one scene with Pike cooking.
At this point, it's a required. It's like beauty shots of the ship.
It's like
be careful, man. Vader hates that. He complains about that all the time.
That lights him right up. I was watching them talk about stuff from Saturday, and he was.
Yeah, they said they're not even going to review it anymore. That's a shame.
They're done. They're out.
What, the podcast guys?
No, Salty Nerds.
Oh, really? They're refusing to review it now?
Yeah, they're checking out A Strange New Worlds. I don't get it. I'm loving it, man. Like, I guess they're living up to their salty name, I guess.
Yeah, but it's not anywhere near bad. I mean, I was brutal on a couple of episodes, but it's still nowhere near, Picard season 1 or anything Discovery.
Or anything
at
Discovery,
all.
Yeah.
I don't I mean, I can understand. There have been a couple of episodes that definitely went sideways, but this, come on.
Yeah. Settle down, boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna shock no one probably when we get to the ratings for this.
Yeah, I already know you're going.
Yeah, I already told you.
11 out of 10. It's 11-teen.
Yeah.
All right, so then I do like this. So he's like, I am going to tell you a limerick. It's like,
and Una's like, no, just get to the point.
Yeah.
I got time for that.
Yeah.
So he explains that the NX vessels were and which is something they did mention at the beginning of the episode. The NX vessels had unobtainium in the hull, and so
no, it starts. It's not. It's a.
I know, but I can't remember. What
I can't remember what
starts
it's
with an
like.
H.
Yeah. Just call it Harambe.
Unobtainium.
Okay.
So humustanium, whatever it is, the magic metal, the
Heronium, I think is what it was.
Heronium. It's what the hull of the NX-01s were made of. You know, the NX class ships.
But which is funny because he said it was gray, but it was really more of a gold. So anyway, so the NX-01, he said the NX class was made of that stuff, and they're like, oh well, great. Well, we got to dig up an NX class, and then they come up with the idea that hey, whenever you build a new ship, you start with a piece of the.
Well, no, that was Mariner actually paid attention.
Yeah, she was the. Yeah.
She's the one that remembered that. Yeah.
Right. Which honestly, I think it would have been a more fun member berry is if they went back to like the Starfleet Museum and got a chunk of the hull off of the NX-01.
It's only a 55-minute show, man. They didn't have time for all that.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
I wish this episode would have been longer.
The problem is they didn't have the budget for another ship.
Right. Yeah. No, I wish this would have been like a special episode where it's like longer, because I could have. I loved this episode so much. So funny. So funny.
Alex. This is the point of anything to do with Lower Decks. And this is a crossover episode.
Right. Lower Decks was all about referential.
Dear God, man, the name of this episode is Those Old Scientists.
Yeah.
They even make a joke at the end. It was like, why do you keep calling it TOS? Those old
which is also why I was preloading weeks ago when I said I was absolutely looking forward to this episode, and I wasn't going to be anywhere near as critical as I would be on a more mainstreamed episode of the series. Because
you see, the thing is, you're expecting it on an episode like this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're not expecting it with the Spock human episode.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
now the one interaction in this scene that I actually got a kick out of was the awkward. All of a sudden, Boimler thought that Pike knew about getting in the chair.
Well, no, he did. I rewatched that scene. Spock and Pike makes it clear. He goes, "No, it's not that. It's what's going to happen."
Yeah, but even that is a double meaning phrase.
Right.
Well, even though this was a goofy comedy, wacky crossover episode, I really liked the part where I think we've already passed it, where Pike was like, "Stop telling people about my birthday. I was planning on going fishing because of my dad or whatever."
Yeah.
And then Boimler's like,
comes into.
And then Boimler's like, well,
you don't know how many birthdays you have left. Yeah.
And think about like all these people who are going to feel the same way you feel about your dad when you're gone. And he's really trying not to tell him, but Pike already knows because he's the crystal thing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like Pike kind of drops that he knows by saying, no, it's not about what's going to happen. It's about what already has happened. And then he talks about his father.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so,
that's right. I'm watching the subtitles and he goes, think I know what you're getting at, and I already know.
Yeah.
So you know about the whole.
And I like that. What if you look at Mariner? She's making the shape of the wheelchair.
Yeah. Dude, they are really good. Like I just want to see more live action Lower Decks now, and then we probably will never see it again. This is
this was a one-time deal, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then what does he say after that?
It's about what already happened, not what's going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
So
he makes it clear that it's that there's an unspoken he knows.
Yeah, so I clearly missed the beat of it a little bit when I watched it, but I still enjoyed the interaction because Boimler's freaking out. He's just and Mariner's like dancing out of her skin, like
Yeah.
So they pull the old piece of the NX, which by the way, the old piece of the NX looks like it's like a little oxygen tank or something.
Yeah, I was kind of,
and it's like it should be a piece of the hull.
If anything, that is the only thing that made me doing the. They should have done a extend the shields and walk out on like some random part of the ship on the outside.
Right. Oh, kind of like the. Oh,
when they did the Enterprise list
the
or
score,
whatever.
Yeah. The what was that called? It was like some kind of
that was Enterprise Bingo they were playing.
Enterprise Bingo, that's what it was. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You know what actually, and that could have been a good callback, is that piece of plating that they were signing would have been it.
Yeah, that would have been yeah.
You know.
Just lean into it. Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
So, so then this is where they explain to Una the truth that the poster is actually a Starfleet recruitment poster. That it's actually the poster that got him to join.
Starfleet wants you. Like
and that it has at Astra
Uncle Sam.
Yeah.
Dude, I love that. I'd be lying if I didn't say it choked me up a little bit. I didn't cry, but it got to me, like that callback.
Did this get you to cry?
No, this made me laugh because you think Boimler, being such a big Spock fan, would have known to say peace and long life. You know,
well, he tried to.
Yeah, and he was just like,
he said, and you live.
Yeah. Although what was funny was because the scene cut was so quick, I noticed an accidental continuity gaffe in that Boimler didn't have his hand up in the air still when we saw him materialize.
Yeah. I noticed that too. That was I did notice that. He should have, but I
did love like the way he delivered that line was priceless.
Yeah,
you know, and you live.
Yeah. Oh, Ariel!
Oh, hey, Ariel's back.
He's back.
Ariel, we got a naked Danny in the house.
This thing is drenched. You keep seeing.
Oh, you apparently look like the character from Fable 3.
Oh, I'm not familiar. Okay.
I don't know Fable hardly at all, so I don't know either.
So yeah. Ben, stop attacking me, you little bat. All right. So and you can see like the look on Mariner, like she's all excited for Boimler because he got to live long and prosper.
Yeah.
You know. And of course everybody knows, like even Pike knows, that Spock just said that because he knew he would get a thrill out of it.
Yeah.
You know.
Everybody looks like they're having so much fun in this episode, except for Lahan. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like you have to be the straight person the whole time. Sorry.
Yeah.
Apparently Ariel's wondering when you're going to start selling bathwater.
Oh, Jesus, right? I could bring this shit out.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with that insane internet thing that went on a few years ago, but anyway.
I don't think I want to know.
No, you don't. You really don't. Because you'll be convinced the world is going to end soon.
I'm already pretty much convinced of that. So they get down there, and of course the Orions are there. And what happened was Boimler offered to give him back the time portal for the grain. They're like,
I really like this scene, kind of like the interaction.
And Pike makes the deal. How about this? What if history just shows that Orion scientists discovered it, and to prove that they were from the future? Huh?
Yeah.
What'd you say, Danny?
Oh, he's glitched.
Yeah. Danny's in the Matrix. We'll see if he comes back into...
Well, Danny and I talked about this yesterday, but do you recognize who the Orion is?
He looks really familiar, but I can't quite place it.
Season 1, Expanse. He's the Martian interrogator.
Oh, is he? Okay.
He's the guy that gives them the Tachi.
Yeah, takes the pill and does the weird thing with his eyes.
Yeah, but he's the guy that helps escort them all the way onto the Tachi, but he dies on board.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because it was driving me nuts. No, I think he's going to end up dropping. He'll probably jump back.
Yeah, there he goes.
Bloop.
Let's see if we
can
reconnect, hopefully.
Game of Thrones. Yeah, no, it was Danny and I were talking about it last night, and it drove me nuts real quick, and I jumped into IMDb to bother to look it up because, the whole time I was watching, I'm like, man, he just seems so familiar.
But yeah, I do like that, because obviously the Orions, while he is a pirate, he doesn't want to be known as a pirate.
Yeah, or simply only, at least.
Yeah.
I like the invocation of Tendy's, my phone overheated, don't quit before I come back. I gotta let it cool off. Okay.
His phone overheated?
Yeah, which I have had happen before. I've seen people's
tell him
iPhones
to put it in the
do
freezer.
Yeah. Well, no, because then moisture. Don't want to do that.
Well, you put it in the bag first.
Yeah. But yeah, that crazy name that Tendy refers to, like the winter. I'm trying to get to it so I can read it exactly as it says. Although she does also go by the name Mistress of the Winter Constellations.
Yes. He's like, how did you know that name?
Yeah, exactly. The reaction was just instant.
And let's see. I'm ready to defend Star Trek at the film threat critics court, yet I still have nothing against those who hate modern Star Trek. Well, I'll say this. If you didn't like it, that's fine. What I don't like is needless nitpicking. And that's my only point. Look, it's if you want to say, oh, Boimler's too tall, that's not a reason to dislike the episode. Because, the actor is a little taller than the character they drew for the animated show. Not much you can do about that. But if you want to say, well, you just don't like Lower Decks because you think that, you don't like the fact that they did a visual update of the show or whatever, you're a purist, you think everything should look exactly like TOS, fine, I can respect that.
Yeah.
However, then you should probably not watch anything but TOS. You shouldn't watch TNG or Voyager or Deep Space Nine or anything. You should just watch TOS if that's what you really think.
Yeah. Well, and as I've even said, if you start watching TOS right from episode
you're going to have to cut out half the episodes that conflict with each other.
You can't. Well, you don't even make it 3 episodes, and by the rule of absolutes, you have to quit the show.
Right.
3 episodes in. So, what are you going to do? This is not Lord of the Rings. People want to think it's Lord of the Rings.
Right.
It's not.
3 episodes? How do you figure?
Maybe it was 4, but I was watching them in series for about 2 weeks in a row. I was watching one every other couple days, and there was a couple of things that came up. They get quadrants utterly wrong. Very early on. So there was there's one ship in the entire quadrant, and that actually was repeated in
which means there's probably 2 ships in the entire Federation, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that alone, so even if you say halfway through season 2, you're out,
right?
Because they totally screw up quadrants. But at any rate, there was something in one of the early episodes in season 1 that was an insta break, and it was no. You got to be very careful about how strict you get with the rules around this.
So they turn on the portal again, and of course Rutherford and Tindy are on the other side. They go, "Hey, look, there they are! Let's go get them!" And Ike is immediately, "No, stay there."
And I like Rutherford. They seem nice. Yeah.
So they go back through, and then we go back to a Lower Decks episode.
Yeah.
And so we finish up the Lower Decks episode that we started earlier on, and we find out that Mariner actually requested to get that job just to make sure that Boimler could go down there because he loves scanning, portals and stuff. It was a routine thing, and they would have just sent some of the cadets down there. And there's the poster.
Yeah.
And that's where Ransom says she's the hottest officer in Starfleet history. And
Danny's phone overheated, Penny, and he's still having computer issues. That's why. That's why he'll be back once his phone cools down.
Yeah. And so then the Cerritos kind of fades off to black, and you're thinking, oh, so that's the end of the episode. That was kind of nice. The episode opens with the Cerritos, and it finishes with the Cerritos. But then we get the animated Enterprise.
Yeah.
Did not expect this scene at all.
I loved this.
Yeah.
They did an awesome job with the caricatures.
Yeah.
Actually, believe it or not, the one I'm the most I actually like the most is Ortegas.
Well, it's funny. My wife was like, they make Ortegas look too much like a girl. And so there's Danny. And so
I have an ice pack that I've got on the back of my phone. It's so hot.
Make sure you have some kind of water barrier between the ice pack and your phone, just so.
And I think the Pixel 7 is waterproof, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So they have the animated versions of everybody standing around, and they're
this was hilarious.
Talking about how they had the real stuff now, thanks to the Orions giving some real Orion booze. And they're like, man, what is in this stuff? It makes me feel all two-dimensional.
Yeah, then my face is all wrong.
Yeah, and then Spock's like, my arm doesn't normally do this. and
then M'Benga freaks out.
Wait a minute, what's in this stuff?
Yeah.
So, I think that's how it ends on M'Benga saying that, right?
Yeah, that's the last line. Yeah. M'Benga saying, "What the hell is in this?" And so, and that's how we finish it with the crew of the Enterprise in animated form, enjoying their Orion Hurricanes, which gives us an official in-universe explanation as to why animated series look different. Is because they're constantly drinking Orion booze. So that's. So on Lower Decks, they're just constantly drunk. I think, which, given what we see on Lower Decks, wouldn't surprise me.
It tracks. Yeah. Oh, God.
So there we go. That would be those old scientists. Yep, and we lost Jason. Hopefully he'll be right back.
Yeah.
There he is.
Nope. Oh. Nope. Okay, there he is.
I fat fingered the back button on my mouse when I went to click on the show cam.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought your internet
went.
No. All right. So is Bird still with us? Bird, are you there?
I'm here.
So why don't you go first? Because I feel like you're going to give it the lowest rating. Why don't you tell us your final thoughts and rating, buddy?
Yeah. So score out of 10. Any final thoughts on the episode?
Well, I'll stay with a 4 out of 10.
Damn, really?
About earlier.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a boring episode for me. I felt it was poorly written. basic. I didn't find it particularly creative, but it wasn't offensive. So, good job there.
All right. Damn.
So as you see, Bird, as is normal, is a jerk.
He's gonna blow out our grading curve. Like, I don't know what the heck, man.
Well, so are you.
I'm just gonna make up for hit. God, I am a hairy dude.
Yes, you are. You are. Dude, you know what? If you were just a little more out of focus, I could sell pictures of you.
God. I love this episode, and it figures that I'm having all these difficulties and wasn't here for the whole show because I was really looking forward to this more than any of them. If I'm allowed to give it an 11, I will. This is my favorite episode ever. It's so
we have
good.
an F you out of 10 that you can only give once, so I would say an 11 out of 10 you can give once.
I can give one. All right. Well, I'm using it my one time here. I'm giving this an 11. I love this episode so much. It's got such rewatchability. I mean, I've watched it close to a dozen times. Yeah, I mean, like, I had it playing in the background while I was moving and stuff, and and it's been out a few days. Never mind. I won't go there. You get mad at me. So
yes, I would get very mad at you.
As far as final thoughts, give me more of this. I want to see Frakes do some more comedy. Like, this was really good. So yeah, 11 out of 10 from me. Thank you.
And Jason.
I want more Frakes, period. Doesn't even have to be comedy. He just needs to be involved with this stuff because everything he touches, the episode comes across strong. Even if the underlying content is less than admirable, it doesn't matter. And I'm making references back to some of the stuff from season 3 Picard, but he just works. He just does it. And I mean, I even made this comment to you on Sunday when we were talking about this a little bit, and I said, First Contact for me, great movie, but it's a terrible movie, but it's fun and easily watched by me because Frakes just does a great job with the directing. For me, this is a 9 out of 10, and I would give it 10 out of 10 if it wasn't for the fact that some of the callbacks in season are to episodes that still frustrate me. But yeah, I mean, this is a great episode. And the thing, I said this to you, Danny, last night, and I was saying this to Mike. I said, this only makes me more frustrated because, come on. If you guys can create this.
Yeah.
There's no excuse.
And I'm going to kind of echo a lot of what Jason said. This is when we talk about Star Trek comedy, there's not a lot of really great Star Trek comedy episodes out there. The one that most people think of is Trouble with Tribbles, and sometimes people think of Trials and Tribulations. I put this one up there right with them. I think that this is a great comedic episode of Trek, and the main reason is that they bring in the wild cards of Boimler and Mariner, but everybody else just is their regular self. They don't have to butcher the characters to try to make them funny. They don't make Pike less of a captain to make him funny. They just put him in a really oddball situation where he's got this weird little ensign from the future.
Yeah, where he's got to turn around while some guy does some futuristic stuff to his bridge.
Yeah, and then gets stuck in the wires. I don't know if you heard us say we were saying Boimler is you trying to get your computer working today.
Yeah, basically, I didn't hear that, but yeah.
So it's the only character you could argue is a little bit out of character might have been Spock, but even there's an explanation for it because it's just an experiment with his feelings. Which again is something that is part of the Spock's arc, and as long as they don't do anything too crazy with it, I'm okay with it. And I think that playing it for laughs in this episode made sense.
Yeah.
I just don't want this to be like the thing they do every week. I would rather that, by the end of the season or maybe next season, he just decides, yeah, this isn't for me. But I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 as well.
Nice.
Let's say this was definitely the best episode of the season and one of my favorite episodes of the series.
That's an 8 1/4.
Yeah.
Nice.
So really, really solid. I think Bird is just going to be the only stickler because he's Kurogan and therefore
because he's Bird. Yeah.
He's a jerk. So there you go. That would be Those Old Scientists. Now tomorrow, which is really weird.
Are we gonna? Do I need to watch?
Yes, we have another episode tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Cool.
We have
it's a Klingon episode.
Defector, I guess.
Dude, there's a. Never mind. Yeah.
So we have to. Yeah, you be very careful about what you're saying, Danny, because I don't want me to kick you off this stream.
I'm just saying it's kind of funny that there's something I like. You know what? I can talk about this because it was in the trailer or the sneak peek. Ortegas in the Balance of Terror episode was the Romulan racist.
You kind of sound like you're in a tube.
You fell down a hole or something.
Did you cover up your microphone with your finger or something?
No, I don't know, man.
No, you're good now.
Now you sound fine.
Okay. No, it just seems like, why is Ortegas always the racist? Like she was a racist against Romulans in the Balance of Terror episode, and
well, she's a xenophobe.
She's kind of racist against the Klingon. I mean, not kind of. She's definitely not a Klingon fan. Kind of reminded me of Kirk quite a bit,
Yeah. Well, she fought in the Klingon War, where the rest of them didn't.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. It's kind of like O'Brien with the Cardassians. Okay, right. I get it. Yeah.
Remember, the Enterprise was out of the action.
Yeah.
And so, but Ortegas and Boimler even mentioned Ortegas is a war hero.
Yes, he did.
So, as far as we know, Ortegas, we know that Ortegas and Banga and Chapel all served during the war, but the rest of them did not.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to. I tell you what, I might have to go into the garage and find. I do have like a really long extension cable. I might just have to do that.
I was going to say, I would just set up temporarily with an extension cord until the electrician can fix your power situation.
Yeah.
And then that way you can at least have the computer set up where you want it, and then you just got to move the plug to the right spot.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I will do that. I just got and I know I have a really long one that's like an outdoor one. I just got it's in a box in the garage. I just got to find it.
Now, the big question is going to be, when are we going to meet? Because tomorrow, by the way, everybody, tomorrow is Jason's birthday. He's going to be how old?
48.
48, which means that's 32 American. So congratulations.
Thank you.
How is it you're older than me and have way less white hair? It's just not fair. It's the Canadian.
Oh no, it's the light. It's the light. This all of this here upward, that's all gray. It just on my skin tone, it just disappears.
Oh, okay.
And on this side of my head, you can see it way better.
Okay, a little bit.
Almost all gray right across there.
Yeah.
I'm almost as gray as Pike.
So, yeah, it's not quite as Mike's, but yeah, it's pretty silver in the person. But all my pictures, everyone looks at, especially when I'm clean shaven, like all my work pictures. People go, "You look so young. How have you been with the company for 30 years almost?" I'm like, "Well, the picture's a lie."
But yeah, so we got to figure that out, but we'll talk about that in a minute once we wrap up. So remember, guys, you are the salt of the earth. I'm the salty trekker, and Danny is naked.
Because my shirt has become a